Yeah.
Okay. So, this week's case was like the Armstrong case. So, does someone want to give an overview of what that was about?
I'm sorry. We can't hear Tanner. It's just you and me. Wait, the chat.
This is uncomfortable. So,
I guess the case was kind of that. It was about cheating. Yeah, Tanner.
About cheating. Lance Armstrong, cyclist, did lots of doping. So, lots of
dope.
Yeah. A lot.
Yeah.
But I thought the most interesting thing is that like everyone did it, kind of.
I found it weird that it was like a part of like the job, like they thought it was the job because everyone did it. And I was just like,
yeah,
but it's what? No, I was very confused half the article. I was like, why are they all doing it if it's technically illegal?
Yeah, I was like, but they're like everyone does it, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's the norm.
Mm-hmm. So we'll just kind of dive into the questions.
Yeah, you can still chat us.
Yeah. So they were basically the same questions that we had in our like write-up questions. So, first one, what is Armstrong's legacy? I'm gonna pull up my paper.
Well, I kind of said his legacy was about like he's technically a liar because he admitted to. He always claimed that he never doped, and then it came out that he was doping like the entire time he said that.
Mm-hmm.
He was, hey, I don't dope, but bro, I do actually dope. So he kind of was just like lying to their faces. So he was known as a liar and kind of like a cheat.
Yes. He was a superhero and now he's a loser. That's what Tanner said. I don't know if like anyone can.
I can see him. So like we should still say them so that the teacher can see that we have him in the discussion.
Like, goes through, he's like, he was just sitting there the whole time. No, he
was typing. He couldn't hear him, man.
Yeah, I think that like if you were to ask this question after he had won, I mean most of those, like cancer survivor, like came back and won all these like races. So like that would have been like really awesome. Like his legacy was like kind of like the comeback kid, you know, fight through it. But now it's just like really high successes just being like ripped down and like kind of just a legacy of like lying and cheating and like hurting other people. Kind of sucks.
Well, that's the kid. I mean, like he deserved it because he did it, but
yeah. Good input. So the next one is Armstrong organized and led what was perhaps the most sophisticated and comprehensive cheating program in the history of sports. Who suffered from this cheating and what were the costs?
I think the people that supported him through it all. Because didn't it say like during Hamilton Lattice, like people were like calling them a liar, saying that Armstrong never doped. But like here they are, lied straight to their face and was like, yeah. Yeah, yes. True. It costs a lot of money to save their names.
Yeah. I think that like, because I put like basically anyone who kind of was involved in any of it, like obviously like himself and his reputation, but I mean his family was probably affected quite a bit. His teammates, because they were like forced kind of to do it. Like they just felt like pressure to do it because like that was what he did. I said like organizations that like sponsored him and people that he had like they looked up to him and they were like his fans, as well as so the anti-doping agency, I like mentioned that because he like gave up, they were like, hey, this isn't okay, and then he like basically like bribed them with money. He was like, but here's a donation, and then they kind of like, you know, put it under the radar and they didn't like bring it to him. So I said that like their reputation was probably hurt as well, because once that got out, you know, like they're like, oh wait, he was like doping throughout all this. They're like, why didn't you get that? And then that would have came up, and they would have, their reputation would have been hurt as well. So that's just one thing I mentioned.
I agree fully.
Lots of people. Okay.
Oh, by the way, Melissa emailed us. She said
Oh,
my computer is being super slow for some reason. If you haven't started already, go ahead. I'll try to be with you soon.
cool. Yep, we could use. I wonder where Tragan, I don't know his name. I don't know how to say that. Oops. Okay. Hopefully she'll join us soon. So we'll just, next question.
Keep going.
Oh, I thought these questions were like, these next ones, and it was like, think of an experience when this happened. They were hard for me. I was like, I don't know. So
I kept
the first one
them,
was,
so.
What?
I kept switching them. I was like, oh, that was not the question I asked. Dang it.
Yeah, I was like, does this make sense on what they're asking? I don't know. So that first one was, think about a situation where you witnessed a leader, formal or informal, make a decision for others that made you uncomfortable. What was the situation and how did you feel about it?
I can't remember the situation I put. Dana, do you have anything?
I have mine pulled up if you want me to go first.
Yeah. Let's do that and I'll pull mine up real fast.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So my husband was actually like, I have one for you. And I was like, oh, good. Because anyway, so I'm part of like student accounting society, like on campus. So we meet every week and like they'll have grad schools come or potential employers, basically. Hi, Melissa.
Okay.
So yeah, we're just going through questions already, and Tanner can't speak.
Okay.
We can't
he
hear him.
can.
He can. I promise
we can't hear him.
Sorry.
We're just having all kind of tech problems today, so
It's been
bear
fun.
with the group today.
So is he not? Is the teacher not coming then?
I guess not.
Okay.
Yeah, I sent him the
So
link.
be like, what happened? Be like, we'll come again next week then. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, whatever works.
Yep. So we were just going through it's just basically like the same questions we did on the write-up. So the one we were on was, think about a situation where you witnessed a leader, formal or informal, make a decision for others that made you uncomfortable. What was the situation and how did you feel about it?
Oh,
no. Okay, yeah. So accounting society, we get pizza every week, and it's just like the best thing because it's free pizza. I can't go wrong. And so a few weeks ago, there was this like guy. He's like one of the, what do they call him? I don't know why he would know.
Leaders or something?
He's not the president, but he's like in the like leader group.
Okay.
He like made the decision to get an IBC company to do it. But the president was like, no, like it's more expensive and like we can't do that. And then he just did it anyway.
Oops.
So yeah, they had to like, and the people that come to present usually buy all the food. So like, I can't remember who was presenting that week, but they had to like pay a lot extra for the food. So that was one thing that I thought of, that it was like a little bit awkward because everyone was like, why are we not having pizza?
Yeah.
And like the president wasn't there and he didn't like know that it was happening until like right before. And so that was like just a little bit weird, especially like the money thing. We were like, because we're like accountants, right? We're like, oh my gosh, you're spending so much more money than we need to.
The accountant minds are triggered.
I know, and I was like, pizza? That's why I come? So,
nothing else.
I too, but I have work, so it doesn't work. I went last semester. So, yeah, I definitely get the pizza thing. Like, it's just better with pizza.
Yeah, that's so good. Yeah, same. They were kind of hard to think of.
Yeah, I think I pulled one from like when I was like 9 or 10.
Yes.
Because I was like, I don't think I've had recent experiences because I normally speak up now. But it was like my friends and I, we went to like a slumber party. And it was like our best friend that we were over at, and she wanted to watch the Rated R movie, I think. Something like that. I don't remember. It's been too long. And so I just remember I felt uncomfortable, but like everyone seemingly went along with it because I was like the only Mormon too. So like if I say something, it's gonna be weird. So like we all kind of went along with it, and I remember feeling very awkward in this Rated R movie that I got up and went to go eat popcorn with my parents who were watching like The Mummy. And then they came back and they're like, "What'd you do? Where'd you go?" And I was like, "I didn't want to watch the movie, but I didn't want to tell you not to watch the movie because you all wanted to see it. So I went to have popcorn with your parents." That's the only experience I can think of.
Yeah.
So, just a question. Like, was there like a write-up due this week?
No, it was just like these questions on like a discussion board, I believe.
And then I was just
okay.
taking the quiz. And I think it's like the similar thing as next week.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Next week.
Okay. So with my like experience with like leaders, like I guess I don't know. I feel like there's probably something on my mission where that like probably like I don't know. I feel like that happened a lot with sister training leaders. Because like I don't know, girls bring drama a lot of the time, and they make it more than it needs to be. And like I don't know, sometimes I felt like they made the rules like more strict than they were intended to be. So like I mean I guess that's like one instance where like I didn't really agree with leadership, but I just kind of went along with it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's like the only instance I can think of really right now.
Okay. It might be hard to think.
See, it's hard.
Yeah, because it's like the next question is kind of similar, so we'll see what we get. It says, about a situation where you witnessed talented followers follow a leader into an uncomfortable or bad zone. What was the situation? What were the results? Did anyone object? These were hard.
I actually have one for this one.
Yes.
I only had bad friends growing up because we wanted to go to this party. We were now in high school though. But we wanted to go to this party, and it was notorious. The guy who was hosting the party would always have alcohol. I'm like the Molly Mormon. I swear I'm not. I just didn't want to go to this party, and I was trying to not go. But they were like, "Yeah, we want to go," and I was like, "There's gonna be like alcohol, and we can't drive because we know you're gonna drink, and I don't want to go, and I'm the designated driver." And so like I was the only one that objected going to the party, and we kind of realized that the party was stupid and that all they wanted to do was go get drunk. So we bought sparkling apple cider instead, and went to our places and had like a movie night, and like a 5-year-old like sleepover with like the pillow forts and like the blanket fort. But like that was the outcome. Like it was just that I didn't want to go to this party, and my friends all were like, "Yeah, let's go. It's gonna be fun." Realized that what the party was just going to be drunk people, and I didn't want to deal with those people.
I can go on mine. Mine was like, I don't know. I kind of made it work, but it didn't. I don't know. It was weird. So, I run races occasionally, and so I've done like a few trail races, which are basically like you run a hike. And so there's like varying distances, but there was one I was doing probably like a year and a half ago. I think it was just like 13 miles. So we were like nearing the end of the race, and it had been like really rainy and stuff. And it was like all marked with different colors for each race. And so we knew that like, I don't know, say like the green flags all meant like half marathon, like go this way. And so we were coming down off the mountain, and I started running with like kind of like a little pack. And there were a few runners that were kind of like ahead of us. And as we were coming down, there was like a road we were supposed to take. And then there was the other like main trail kind of that went off. And a lot of like the runners kept running down like the main trail. And so they like just missed the turn off. And so like as we got down, I was like, wait, they're like, I just turned off, and we, you know, some of the people that were with me, we turned around and noticed that like we had lost some people with us. And so we had to like call them back. And so I was like, that's like talented followers. Like they were good runners, and they knew, like they were educated on where the course ran, basically. Like they knew they needed to get down, and they knew that the green flags are what they needed to follow. But like one person went, and they all just kind of followed them. But we called them back, and like I guess the results, like I finished really well, but a lot of those people, they had to like backtrack. And so even though they were talented runners, they didn't like have that energy to like kick past in the finish. So that was kind of mine, if it works.
This kind of makes me think of like a funny story from my dad's mission. So he served in Japan, and like, I mean, he's older, so like the communication was different back then. Like they only had the phones in their house and stuff. And anyway, there was like this group of missionaries, like these 4 elders, And one day they decided they wanted to just go to Korea and go shopping. So they like took the ferry to Korea to go shopping. Didn't tell anyone, and like they were just gone, and their zone leaders like couldn't find them, and they were like trying to get a hold of them. And like then the mission president got involved, and like usually that doesn't happen. Like usually they're just left alone, which is why they thought they could get away with it. And anyway, all four of them ended up having to get sent home because they like left the mission boundaries, and like it wasn't P Day, so they were like shopping on on a normal day. And anyway, so like my dad always mentions like if even just one of them would have spoken up and said, "Hey, no, let's do what we're supposed to," then all four of them probably could have stayed on their mission. Like it's like a funny story, but it's also like kind of sad.
Yeah. Shoot. I think that's like the thing in a lot of cases that like if one person kind of speaks up, then I don't know, like you're just kind of all going along with it, even though you know it's not maybe like the best. And so if one person speaks up, then I think the same thing is kind of like with the case. And so like talking about their teammates, it says, or the other riders like Hamilton Landis, I don't know if that's how you say his name.
Sure.
Yeah, and those who testified too loyal to Armstrong or not loyal enough.
I said that they were both. I said that they were very loyal, and then they were not loyal because like they were loyal to him as into doing and the cheating with them, but then they took the courage enough to speak out and say that, dude, we both dope, but like a majority of our team has too.
Mm-hmm.
And so they weren't loyal to him because they kind of like betrayed his trust of keeping a secret, but they were loyal to him because they they kept him on his honor, I guess, kind of. So it kind of like showed people that they could be honorable.
I think. Were you done? Sorry.
No, yeah, you're fine. I'm done.
Okay. So, I think that they were never really like loyal to him. I think they were reacting out of like fear and peer pressure more than anything. Because it's like they get involved with this thing, and then Lance Armstrong's like, "Okay, do this," or else, like, and he's got this power and this reputation, and like when I think of it, like when people have gone after him before, like he always comes out clean, and then they get dragged through the mud. So like, I don't know, like there's a little bit of fear involved. Like every time they're like with him and they find out, oh shoot, he's actually like totally blood doping right now, and they just kind of go along with it out of fear, and also because they want to enhance their own performance to a point. But I don't think they were ever like, yeah, I like Lance Armstrong's like a great guy, I'm gonna support him no matter what. Because I think it was more of a peer pressure thing.
Yeah, I guess like I based mine off of like when they were on the team, I thought they were at least loyal to like their job or the team, because I thought of like team sports, because that's kind of, I don't know a lot about cycling, I guess, like I don't keep up on that, but it kind of sounded like the only way that they were to get like money, they were to get fame, or like move up in it, was to help him win. And so I think they were loyal to that. Like they knew that it was like their job to help him win.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, yeah, that was like what they were basically hired to do on the team. And I think that like they let him dope, they went along with it because they were loyal to that team, if not him. Because I think of like, I don't know, I haven't done any sports like cycling. Like I ran in high school and I was like team captain for a while. And I don't think that like, I don't know, not that I like did anything terrible, like I was cheating or anything, but like I think that some of the kids would have just been like, well, you know, like our captain's doing this, and like they wanted to stay on the team, or they wanted to stay on my good side. I don't. Hopefully, I wasn't like a terrible captain. I don't know, but they loyal to that team as part of it. I don't know. I haven't done like a super big team sport since like middle school, but I just think loyalty in a team is like a big thing, and so that's where I was going off of, that they were loyal enough to him because winning was their job, or helping him win was their job. And then like after they left the team, I think that's where their loyalty like decreased because they didn't really have a reason to.
Yeah.
Like he kind of cut off contact with them. They weren't on a team. They weren't trying to help him win. And I think like outside of the team, it was easier to like realize that it wasn't okay. So that's why I said like they were too loyal on the team and like not loyal off the team because they didn't need to be.
I agree. Tanner?
Check it out.
Like, waiting for typing. I realize like my head's not totally in frame.
Yeah. Like so hard because you can't like put your personal like different because like
Just get the point across 2 times.
but yeah, it was bound to happen.
Yeah.
I agree. For the record, so that everyone knows, I think there is no honor among thieves, so it was expected that they stabbed each other in the back. It's just like, people kind of participated. I promise he did.
We don't know if like when the professor goes back and watches this, if he's just gonna like not be able to see any of the messages pop up. So we're like, Tanner is participating, we promise.
He is participating. We're reacting for a reason.
We're laughing at each other's faces. You know, we're just like, we're doing this awkward silence.
Yeah. But like another thing with like what Tanner said, I just think of like how Armstrong was with his like he was I don't know, he like before cancer I feel like he was okay. And then cancer happened. And I think he was still okay when he had cancer, but when he went back to cycling after and he started like drugging himself because he couldn't perform the same way he used to, like it was all downhill from there. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, I have to protect myself and it's all about me and I just have to protect my own butt and like make it all okay and who cares what happens to anyone else. And it's just like I don't know, he like developed this mentality of like him mattering the most.
Mm-hmm.
So
Doggy dog.
Yeah, it's like the no honor among thieves, like he doesn't care about anyone but himself. Like that kind of developed over time.
Yeah, I think that like going back to his like cancer stage kind of thing, obviously like chemo takes a lot out of you and people become really mean when they go through chemo. And so like I guess because he was really mean, I was like, maybe that's chemo. Like, maybe that's why he's so mean.
That's what I thought too, and I was like, no, that can't be just
all the time. Chemo makes people really mean, so I was like, that's probably it. But I think that like coming back from that, in order to be like the comeback kid from that, he needed to do like really well. And I think that like if you think about it, like this cancer survivor, you know, coming back and like even doing well would have been like enough, even if he wasn't winning, even like if he wasn't doping and like say he didn't win, I think like as long as he was doing pretty well in the races, like it would still be impressive. It would still be like, oh yeah, like he had cancer and now look at him. Oh, I have to win now. So
I agree. I think this mentality that he took on.
Yeah, so let's go off of integrity now. So what basic principles guide your integrity? Are there times when there's gray area, and how do you choose correctly?
So this makes me think of the like second article that we were supposed to read, like how the making decisions on the margin, and he talked about how there's like the general rules of like what we normally do, and so many of us like will look at stuff situational, like, and we'll say, oh well, it's just one time, like it's gonna be fine. And he like mentioned like it's easier to like obey or live true to yourself 90 or 100% of the time than it is to live it 98% of the time. So it's like the whole idea of what's your integrity worth. So like, and it comes down to decisions like, am I gonna keep the Sabbath day holy this one time, like he faced in the article? Am I always going to avoid alcohol, or is it just sometimes? Like it's like something that we encounter a lot in the church. because it's like, oh, it's just one time, it's not going to hurt me. And like that's the mentality that gets you down the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just kind of keep going normally.
I agree. I thought like humility and honesty in myself. So humility, because you can get pretty cocky in yourself if you do something correct more than once. And so something that keeps me to my integrity is just to remember that there are people way better than I am at the certain things that I do, and I am learning and I'm getting better, but I'm not the best, and so I can't tell someone that they're not as good. And then I said honest kind of to myself now that I'm thinking about it. It's because you make those decisions when you're young, like not to do the alcohol and like not to do drugs and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to be honest with yourself that you're keeping those and like keeping those promises you made to yourself. So if you aren't honest with yourself, then you're kind of breaking the promise A to yourself, but like B to people that you said you would do it to, kind of like Armstrong. But like, what I think of, and there is a gray area because you kind of want to do it. You want to be the person that doesn't do it, but there are times where you're very, very tempted to be like, hey, like you said, Melissa, just one time. It's one time. I'm gonna do it more than one time. Rare, you have to make sure that you guys stick to like you made these promises and you're gonna stick to them.
Yeah. The ones I put like being understanding of others and their situations. And I think this goes along with like, I don't know if you guys listened to Devo on Tuesday, but they talked about like confrontation and like contention. And I think that's one thing, like if you understand, if you're not like assuming the worst in others, kind of. So I put understanding others in their situation, kindness, respect, just treating people like people. And then faith in God and happiness. So I think that like faith in God is like one thing that like just drives me to be a better person. Like, and along with happiness, that like, if you really truly want to be happy, they're going to become more like God, and like becoming more like God is, having more integrity. And so then it says like, are there times where there's a gray area? I put yes. I think like for a gray area for me is when like, it's not like this is bad and this is good. It's kind of like, what decision are you going to make? So I put that like, I don't think that all decisions are like good or bad. Some are like good or better. Or they're not like even inherently bad at the decision point. But if you look at like where that decision is ultimately going to lead you, there's like a good and a better. And so I just put like looking to the future on how to make those decisions.
Tanner?
You got any principles or something you want to throw out? Yeah.
He didn't hear you, I don't think.
They don't have principle.
Oh.
So what's the key or basic principle you do as integrity? Or to guide your integrity?
Yes,
Be honest.
yes. Is what he said.
I like the smiley face that rotated.
Yes.
Cool.
Nice. And we're getting close to being done, so this will be like the last question probably.
Okay.
And this is probably like more off of that second article that we read. It just says, how will you personally measure your life and how will you measure success?
I feel like for us, like in our religion, like it's all about like the eternal perspective, and that's like always what we should be focusing on. Like, granted, there's times in your life when it's like really easy to not have that. But I think it's when you realize like family and like church and then work, like putting things in the order they're supposed to be, like that's kind of what God wants. So I think for us, especially as members of the church, like it's putting our priorities in the right order of putting God first, then our family, then work, then church, then work, like kind of like just figuring out like what matters most in the long run, because God's not going to care like what job you had. He's going to care like, it's like what it says in the article, he's going to care how many people you helped, or like exactly what you were doing like to make that happen. Like, he just cares about our eternal progression, and that starts now.
I kind of put it as, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think it's how we measure ourselves in the eternities. But for like an earthly perspective, I put saying it's whether people or not have trust in me and that I'm a trustworthy person and that I gained or earned their respect and trust in them. Because if I'm untrustworthy and I say that I'm trustworthy, it goes against my word and it shows that I am not someone that does to my word. And to me, it really affects me. So I want to be measured by my life knowing that I was honest to my fellow friends and family and like coworkers and anyone that I meet with, and I have like an honest intention with them, and that they know that I'm someone that they can come to and count on. And that's just so that, you know, we can develop more relationships.
Mm-hmm. I put, okay, so how will you personally measure your life? So I put, like, for me, I think a lot of it is happiness. And I guess that takes in a lot. Like I said before, I think that, like, true happiness, you know, comes from, like, being a better person and becoming more Christ-like. And so, like, growing up, I don't know, I'm just, like, kind of reading through my answers, so hopefully it's not too personal. Growing up, like, my family was never, like, super rich. Like, my parents own a dairy farm. Like, it's not, like, glamorous and fabulous or anything. Like, it's a lot of hard work and, like, long hours, and you, like, are always kind of, you know, just working. My family loves to work, so that's good. But even though we didn't have, like, a ton of money, we had, like, I don't know, I was just always happy. Like, and that's what I would say, like, my house is. Like, we're just generally happy, even though we don't have all that stuff. And so I think that you don't need to have money, or like Lance Armstrong had like all these titles, right? And all this money and fame. And I don't think you need all of that to like think you're successful or to have like the best paying job for that. And so like, this is another thing that I was thinking of. Like, I know I have some, looking at people like in my major, there are some people that, there's like a person that I know. I like, I'm not trying to call anyone out because I think this is, you know, for anyone, but like, really smart, really good with like, she's had internships and career opportunities. I don't really like her. And I think it's so sad. They just think, you know, they just don't like, I guess, the way she acts and some of the characteristics. But even though she like seems really successful, like I would rather have success as people, you know, being happy with me and like thinking that I'm a good person. Because if I like have a nice big house and I'm like have a ton of money and people don't like me, like what's the point of it, I guess. And then just on the other hand, to contrast that, like I have friends who like don't always do the best in school, or like, I mean, even aren't like super great at jobs, but like they're so nice and they're so friendly and you just get along with them really well. And you feel like so much better around them than you would other people who, you know, are more successful in the world's eye. And I think that's like really what successful is. I don't know, like relationships and people, and not like these stale hard things like money.
I agree. I said that in a job interview. They're questioning me because there's two companies looking at me to give me offers, and one of them's really close to where I would be living and would offer me more money because they're bigger company. And they said, you know, what's the main factor? And I said, it's the people who I work with. I would rather make less money and be, you know, less successful in this world, because they're both LDS companies, so they both know that I'm LDS. So I was just like, you know, it's kind of what you said. It's kind of like I want to fulfill my job and have friends and like the coworkers that I like around me more than the money. Like that's not how I view myself. And so this article helped a lot this week.
Yeah.
Tanner?
Here it is right there.
He agrees.
Okay.
Alrighty.
I focused my answer on the idea of eternal perspective as well. It just disappeared, but he agreed with everything that was said.
Perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's been, I don't know, roughly about 45 minutes. We went through all the questions. Thank you for everyone that showed up.
Yeah.
And for participating.
Yeah.
So
Next week is Katie, unless is it
So-
Katie? No.
I think it's me.
is it?
I think.
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure it's me.
Is it you? We'll go with you, because Katie's sick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Since I'm here, we'll just go with me.
Yeah. Deal.
Okay.
The teacher emails you, it's because he didn't come, not us. Anyway.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. See you next week.
Bye.
Okay. See you next week.